Hey guys, welcome back. This, in fact, will be the penultimate video. I'm sorry, the previous one was not the penultimate video. Uh, the agenda for this video, we want to make sure that by the end of this video, we have the minus button working as you expect it to work, and we have the add value button working as you expect it to work. The last video in this series will work with adding value asynchronously. That's a little bit more complicated, so I think that merits a video on its own. So let's get down to business for this one. We still will occasionally reference to this GIF because I think it's very nice, and the good folks at Facebook seem to have put in a lot of effort making it. Okay, back to the code. Now there is a dispatch increment. Naturally, there should be a dispatch decrement, but before we are able to use it, let's define it. Should I persist with XYZ? I don't think so anymore. Decrement. State. We don't need the action parameter for this because we don't really care for the payload of the action. If that particular statement confused you a bit, you will be able to make more sense of it in just a moment. Okay. We remove this log statement because we don't need it anymore. We remove action from the increment function because we don't need that anymore. Okay, a method called decrement has been defined. Naturally, there'll be an associated callback. There'll be an associated action that we are able to dispatch from any component that we exported to. So there's an action called decrement, and that action will be accessed from the counter. So we're going to import it and decrement like so, and we're going to dispatch decrement like so. Oops, decrement. Okay, and I expect the poof. What's it complaining about? I don't know. Okay, this works as you'd expect, and this works using Redux. This is great news. Okay, next, what's next? We want to add value. Adding value is a little bit more complicated because in this case, we will define a reducer method that in fact uses the action and its payload. How do we make that happen? We say add value. That's the name of the method in our reducer. This particular method accepts the state and action like the other methods do, but this one we are in fact explicitly passing in the action parameter because we have good stuff to do with it. State.count plus equal to action dot payload. Now what is this payload property? Well, maybe we should go back to a console log statement here. Let's log action, and let's in fact call it from somewhere. Let's in fact dispatch an action that gets this method called. Okay, line number 22, I add value as one of the actions to be exported out from this file. I import this action in the counter file like so. Perfect. And I dispatch this action over here. Dispatch action add value, and I will pass in a parameter. What's the parameter I want to pass in? Increment value. This particular React hook will remain for the rest of the application's lifetime because we do in fact have use for that particular hook. So add value is passed an argument called increment value. Now let's see what this means for action and its payload, right? Let's refresh this page. Let's put a value of 2 for this, and let's hit add value. It appears the argument that we passed for the add value action is added to the property payload. And well, that is all we really need to know, isn't it? Now we go back to our counter reducer and it appears we have been able to use action.payload to update the value of our count, and we can see a demonstration of that here. I hit add value, it adds to the count, add value again, adds to the count again. Okay, this really was the object of this video. But before we close it, one important point. You see, in this demonstration, when we use the create slice method, we are in fact modifying the value of state.count. We take in the old state identified by this argument, and we modify a certain property of the state. This is not recommended practice in Redux, but the function create slice uses a library called immer, which makes sure that although you are mutating the value of state, like you do in line number 10, ultimately what is returned by this function is a new state with the count value updated. I know that was a bit confusing, so follow through with these comments, please. Let's comment these 3 lines out. Comment it out. Oh crap! Oh hell! Okay, whatever. I don't care. So let's say you have old state being passed in as the parameter. You want to return the new state from a reducer, right? So you do not do something like this. You do not do old state dot property x y z equal to new value equal to, say, action.payload. So this is how the usual reducer function is defined, isn't it? You get an old state, you get the action, and then you update the old state with the action's payload, right? And you're supposed to return the new state. So you would maybe do something like this: return new state. Sorry, return old state. And you would think this is the new state, right? And you will be forgiven for thinking this is okay, but the truth is Redux expects you to return an entirely new object and not to mutate the old object that was passed in. So ideally you would be doing something like this. Oops. Const new state equal to, use the spread operator, old state and you would do something like this: old state new state dot property xyz equal to action.payload new state. Now this is what Redux expects you to do, but the beauty of the create slice method is all of this stuff has been abstracted from you. Your old state is not being modified when you use create slice. In fact, when you use create slice, what's happening is the first line of every callback essentially, the first line of every method essentially does something like state equal to dot 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 state and creates a new object before you know it. Now this particular thing has been abstracted away from you, so that is good news in terms of implementation, but it is pretty bad news in terms of understanding. So I decided to explain immutability in the briefest way possible for the sake of brevity. Okay, complicated stuff. See you all in the next video. We will work with async dispatch in the next video, and that will be the last one for the series. See you.